So, good morning, Mr. Andy Brouwer, and thank you so much, sir, for granting Cambodianess the opportunity to interview you here in Phnom Penh and also at our office here. Mr. Andy, in the public face, you are quite a famous person, and a person that many people might know because you have been in many sectors: the travel sectors, the film sectors, also journalism, and also sport, which is a big thing in Cambodia. And you have been here in Cambodia since 1994, which is
No, I have to say
yeah.
I first came in 1994, but I didn't move here to live here until 2007.
But you still make a lot of trips during the 1990s.
Yeah. From 1994, I came every year until 2007, when I decided to come and live here.
Yes, but the first thing that caught my mind is that normally when the tourists come to Cambodia, they might come one time, and then many years later they can come again to see the differences the country make. But you came almost yearly.
Yes.
So after each trip, when you go back, when you went back to the UK, what made you want to come back again and again? So what was the curiosity in that?
Sure. It really started in when I saw a documentary by John Pilger in 1979 called Year Zero, and it was all about Cambodia, the Cambodian situation. So that was the first thing. I don't think I'd heard of Cambodia before then. So 1979, 1979 was the first time, and I became very interested in it. In the 80s, I was a member of two lobbying groups for the British government because we wanted to change the British government's opinion of Cambodia, because they very much supported the American view. And then obviously the UN elections in the early 90s. And for the first time, I thought it might be safe to come here in 1994. So I came for 5 days, a fantastic experience. And it cemented in me the desire to come and see more and more and more and more. So that's the reason I came. And I came every year after that on holiday. And I eventually moved here in 2007 because that was the best thing to do. Because then I could experience Cambodia full time instead of part-time.
In a while,
But if you ask me what is the reason I kept coming back, two things: the people. I had some amazing experiences with people, so many really, really good friends, and also the temples. I really got into this fascination for the ancient temples, and so I would go around the country. On each of my trips, I would go some certain part of the country I'm not discovering temples, but I was refinding them, and it was the trip to get to the temple, to meet all the people I could meet on the way, and then come back again. And it was those sorts of things that kept me coming back.
Yes, Mr. Andy, but you said the very first 5 days you spent in Cambodia for the first time. So do you still remember, some of the most memorable, point of those 5 days that, make you feel, okay, I need to come back?
Sure. It was incredibly exciting for me. It was my first time outside of Europe. It was incredibly exciting, as I said, because everything was so different. Phnom Penh in 1994 was very different to what it is today. So there were no street lights. So, for example, the first night I was in a hotel, the Hawaii Hotel near the Central Market, and I thought, oh, should I go out or should I stay in the hotel? But there were no street lights, and everything was so very different. So I stayed in the hotel. The second night, I met some people, and we decided to go to a restaurant on Bongkak Lake, and that was so bad. The restaurant was so bad, but the experience was so much fun. And that was the whole thing. about Cambodia. It was incredibly intoxicating, so much fun, but also there was this in the back of your mind: am I safe? Am I really safe? Is there any Khmer Rouge around? I know it sounds stupid now, but in 1994 the Khmer Rouge was still a fighting force. So I didn't know, because this was my first time in Cambodia. But I just found everybody so happy and welcoming, and so I just had to come again the next year, the next year, the next year.
So despite the hardship, normally when they see you, they still have you around.
Yes.
Yeah, talk to you about what they, how they live, all of those things.
Yeah. I've made some incredible friends. In the next few trips, I ventured outside of Phnom Penh and Siem Reap. I went to different places. So I would have Khmer friends in Siem Reap, Battambang, Kratche, Sisapon, and I would go and meet them, and then we would go on their motorbike, just the two of us, and go to different places around. And that was how I saw many parts of Cambodia. Well, in fact, all parts of Cambodia.
Yes, Mr. Andy. But like you mentioned, during the early 1990s, Cambodia was still, covered by, I would say, danger, political danger, and also social danger. So, for example, before you board the plane, several days before you board the plane, do you feel like, okay, I think I should, I should not go, or what did your family or friends, or maybe, someone told you about Cambodia?
I had spoken to, because I was a member of a couple of lobbying groups, I'd spoken to people who'd been to Cambodia. They were very encouraging, but I'm quite headstrong, so it was my determination to come to Cambodia, to experience it for myself, not to read about it in any books. Although Cambodia was very rarely covered in any books or newspapers until the UN came here. So there was never any doubt in my mind that I wanted to come to Cambodia. But what I did was, in preparation, I sent maybe half a dozen letters to travel agents in Cambodia. In those days, no email, just you had to send a letter, wait for a reply.
So you need to spend weeks just to get reply.
Yeah. So there was a big build-up, and the UN elections had happened, and I thought maybe it's now the best time to visit Cambodia, because there's, in theory, peace in the country. But I booked everything in advance. So meeting me at the airport, the hotel, car, guide, flight to Siem Reap, the same around the temples of Angkor, car, guide.
So you planned every stage of everything the trip already? Yeah.
The only problem was, on arrival at Phnom Penh, my suitcase of clothes didn't arrive. They got stuck in somewhere, Bangkok or something. So I had to go straight away to the market to buy some clothes. So that was a really good experience, because in those days the central market was, there was a lot of beggars around. It was very different to what it is today. It was quite dirty. But it was a good experience for me, because I was straight in, meeting people for the first time. Yes,
Mr. Andy. Normally, when I talk, to other people, let's say senior people, they often mention that during the past, not a very distant past, several decades ago, like you said, Cambodia is known to the world only by two things generally, like you said, the temples, and also, the very horrific regime of the Khmer Rouge.
Sure.
When you see these two contrasting images, when you were in the UK, an empire that has so many monuments that rivaled, other region, let's say, but at the same time, a country that is in isolation, in desperation. What went on in your mind, when you see this two images that do not really go along with each other
Sure.
at the same time in the country.
The first thing that I knew about Cambodia was the desperation side of things. So the documentary I first saw was John Pilger coming into Phnom Penh just after the Khmer Rouge had been kicked out. So he was one of the first reporters, and so much of his documentary was about the suffering and about the results of the Khmer Rouge regime. And he was one of the first people to go to Tuol Sleng and expose that to the world. And so that was one of the first things I ever saw about Cambodia, was the suffering and the bad things that happened. And then I just caught a glimpse on his documentary that they had this amazing ancient kingdom. And I've always been interested in history, especially things like temples and things like that. So that immediately registered, but it wasn't the first thing that if you like, brought me to Cambodia. It was the pain and the suffering of the people, and try to understand, and for me as somebody from England, to try and understand why that happened. What started all that? How could unfortunately Cambodians do this to other Cambodians? But more and more I got interested in the kingdom, the Khmer kingdom, and the temples and things like that. So it was just a natural progression because as I said, I love history, so it was a natural progression to get more and more involved with that side of things.
So it's basically curiosity that
always
you.
I'm a very curious person.
Yes, Mr. Andy. But following to the question about temples, also, you went to when I look at your memoir in your website.
Yes,
I see that you expanded your let's say territory of exploration, starting from Phnom Penh to Kien Svai to Kampong Thom, and I was told that there were no road back then. People,
there were roads, but they were
very bad.
They were poor roads.
Yeah. And then you expand your exploration to Previer and further. So my first question is that why do you want to I would say re-explore those temples? That is the first question. And then the second question is that you don't feel for example scared of the landmine or the people out there, like why do you want to see those temples with your own eyes?
Okay. Again, you've just used the word curiosity. It's my innate curiosity to find out more. Plus the fact I'm one of these people who, once they start something, they want to do as much as they can over one topic. I didn't have any information anywhere that I could find about ancient Cambodian temples. So I wanted to be the first in visiting as many as I possibly could, even the more remote ones.
How many temples have you visited? Maybe if you can.
I don't know, hundreds and hundreds, but there are potentially 4,000 to 5,000 temple sites in Cambodia.
You mean the standing ones, not
No, a lot of broken ones.
A lot of broken.
And that's what I found. I'd go to various provinces, go well into the remote areas, and at the end of that day's trip, I might come to a pile of stones. Okay, not the best thing to see, but it was the adventure in getting there, meeting the people, because there's always people around. So I always encourage my Cambodian guide to introduce me to people. So we'd go and visit the village chief or the village police officer or the seller on the side of the street. You mentioned the roads. Yeah, the roads were really bad. A few small accidents, but nothing serious. But yeah, getting to the remote areas, sometimes we'd have to get off the bike and walk for kilometers, lots of kilometers, just to get to a temple. We knew it was there because we would ask the local people. Wherever you go, the local people know what's in their specific area. So if you've got an idea, and I was using some old maps made by the French, so I'd have an idea that there would be a temple in that area, and I would then go and speak to the local people to say, where exactly is it? Is it safe to go? Because you mentioned the safety aspect.
Yep.
Landmines in the 90s, the late 90s, early 2000s, was a serious concern. So you had to check with the locals. And again, that opens up another round of, meeting people. So it's the combination of having a really enjoyable trip, meeting lots of people, and then seeing what temples are around. And we had some, I've been to, as you said, I've been to some amazing temples. I could run a list of temples off, but the first time I went to Prevahir, for example.
I think early 2000?
Yep.
Wow.
There was no road. And we had to climb through the forest for the first half. And then at the halfway point, there was a small track. And that was to get to Prevahir Temple from the Cambodian side. Wow, what an experience. We were the only people there because the temple was closed. We stayed in hammocks overnight. And just me and my Cambodian friend were the only people there with the guy who, from the ministry, I think, but he was always stationed there. And we were the only 3 people there. It was a full moon, and I sat on the edge of the cliff at the end of Prevahir Temple, looking out over Cambodia. Oh, memories like that are, you can't buy them. Another memory I have is going to Angkor Wat. The first time I ever went to Angkor Wat for sunrise, I was the only person there. There were 2 little girls trying to sell me kramas, but I was the only person there until later on. So, experiences like that were just unforgettable.
Yes, Mr. Andy.
And those experiences kept drawing me back again because I wanted more experiences like that. In England, for 30 years, I worked in a bank. Okay? So 9 to 5, every day, go in and work for the bank. So 3 or 4 weeks a year, I would come to Cambodia and have these amazing experiences. You mentioned about my website. I also wanted to make sure that I promoted Cambodia as well. So I started writing my website in about 1998, 1999. And I dedicated it to my trips to Cambodia, and that enabled other people to read about Cambodia as well.